Tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants are the #1 home garden favorites across the nation. These summer staples are the stars of countless picnics, barbecues, and gourmet recipes. Most people think that you need a big backyard garden to grow your tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, but that's just simply not true. By selecting compact bush varieties, you can easily grow tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant in a container on your patio, porch, or deck. There are just 3 elements to growing great container vegetables: sun, soil, and the right container. Tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants are tropical in nature, which means they need a longer growing season outdoors than most of us have naturally. So to get a jump on the growing season, we start seeds of tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants 6 to 8 weeks before our last spring frost, so that we have large enough plants to transplant outdoors in late spring and early summer. These 3 need full sun, which means 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. The next critical element is selecting the proper soil, which should always be a bag soil mix labeled for vegetable use. This means that it'll have the right nutrients at the right ratio for growing the best vegetables possible. Never use garden soil or landscape soil because these can be too heavy for proper root growth and even contain weed seedlings and other bacteria. The final consideration is using the right container. The standard sizes for containers are 12, 18, and 24 inches in diameter. If possible, use an 18-inch container, or better yet, a 24-inch diameter container. Since your tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants are larger plants with larger root systems, a bigger container means less watering all season long. Here I have a 24-inch container. I'm going to take 1 tomato plant and plant it directly in the center of the container. Dig a hole large enough to accommodate the existing root ball. Tomatoes, even bush varieties, grow to fairly large plants, so we only want to use 1 per container. Unlike peppers and eggplants that we plant evenly with the soil line, tomatoes can go deeper. Here I have a 24-inch container. I'm going to take 2 pepper plants and space them equidistantly towards the center of the container. Dig a planting hole large enough to accommodate the existing root ball, and repeat on the other side of the container. Place the pepper plant in the planting hole so that the root ball is even with the soil line, and gently firm the soil back around the roots. We'll plant our eggplants similar to how we planted our pepper by placing the root ball level with the soil line. Again, using 2 eggplants per container and spacing them equally. The final step is to water in your container so that the soil settles around the root ball and starts the growing process. To get the most out of your plants, it's best to stake or cage them, and upon planting is the ideal time to do that. It's midsummer on the patio, and as you can see, our container tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants are growing beautifully. We've kept up with watering, never letting them dry out fully, and we've just started our fertilizing schedule since the fruit is starting to set. For fertilizing, you want to choose a well-balanced vegetable fertilizer that has equal parts nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which will be labeled as N, P, and K. This fertilizer can be found at any home store or garden center. Unlike in-ground plants, our container plants are in a relatively small volume of soil and nutrients. And since they're putting on a lot of foliage and flowers and fruit, it's important to start fertilizing every 10 to 14 days. Harvesting our fruit is one of the greatest joys of container gardening. Unlike growing in the garden soil, all of the fruit is right here at eye level, and it's usually right out your back door. Whether harvesting tomatoes, peppers, or eggplants, the method is the same. You'll want to trace the fruit stem up to the main growing stem and note where they attach, cutting the fruit just below that point of attachment. Container gardening is just so much fun. The plants are right out your back door, they look beautiful, and they taste even better. Happy gardening!